opening words today were written by the Reverend Julian Jamaica Soto. There is a moment before dawn when the night is firmly in charge of the sky. There is no arguing with the opacity that holds both a fertile imagination and cover of destruction. Just hold on. There is the moment when the dream we share is newly born, wet and wriggling in our hands. Sometimes it's true that salvific futures look vulnerable and small before us. We remain unsure. Just hold on. Anything good was small at first. You know that Dr. King said, "I have a dream." It definitely was not the "I have a reality" speech. It was real in a different way that could be felt, that could be shared. They held on. That dreaming speech happened in August 1963, and you know what came before was April, a letter from a Birmingham jail. One moment did inform the other, but the future being built could not be known with certitude. They held on. We gather, Unitarian Universalists, certain only of our power to be human, finding ourselves committed to keeping our word and being our covenant, and when we fail to keep our promises, we don't throw them away, labeled as impossible. We take up our courage, we begin again, we hold on. Sprinkled in the wind, we can hear the question, if we are not white supremacy shaped into religious robes and rituals, then who are we? We are present, both in attention and in the answer. We are here. We hold on. We contain multitudes, not just of questions and contradictions, but also of possibilities. We continue to labor for the creation of community in which all of us, not just each, but every part of us, is welcome in our home of faith. We hold on. Come, let us worship together. I'm the Reverend Rachael Hayes, minister of this congregation. I use she, her pronouns. I am so glad that you are here today. Today, we listen for the wisdom still present in the words of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and recommit ourselves to the work of collective liberation as an act of hope. If you're joining us online today, you might like to have a rock or other small object to hold on to for today's service. Okay, Terry, you want to come up and as we light the chalice? I invite you to say our congregation's chalice lighting words with me. We light this flame to invite a world of peace, where we heal the wounds, where we share what we have with one another, where justice is another word for relationship, and we listen for what love has to say. I invite you to rise in body, spirit, heart to sing our opening hymn, Come and Go With Me. It is on the screen, and it's also number 1018 in the teal hymnal.
Nothing to lose, nothing to lose.
To that land, come and go with me to that land.
Our reading is from the second half of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is the faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. King delivered his famous I Have a Dream speech at the 1963 March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. Speaking to 250,000 people on the National Mall and uncounted millions via the television, this moment was his biggest audience to date. The speech begins with carefully composed rhetoric. It echoes the Gettysburg Address, biblical prophets, Shakespeare. If you listen to the audio recording, the crowd is with him. But partway through the speech, King departs from his prepared remarks, and the most famous part, the part we all remember, I have a dream, was not supposed to be in this speech at all. King had developed the theme in previous speeches, and gospel singer Mahalia Jackson called out, "Tell him about the dream, Martin." Sources disagree about whether his use of the I Have a Dream theme that day was in response to Jackson's urging, but now that line is how we refer to the whole speech. I'm not saying this to knock one of the most brilliant orators of the 20th century. I'm calling our attention to the fact that sometimes we have to let go of the careful plans and get to the heart of the matter. What are we really doing here? When in doubt, tell them about the dream. The dream, the hope, the faith. Prophecy is not just telling everyone that it's going to be bad or that it's bad now. Prophecy is connecting this moment to the future and the people to their convictions. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, who marched with King, wrote that the prophet is the one who feels with God, whose compassion is with God's people and exhorts them to transform their lives and or the world to live into the promise of God's justice. Or as we would say around here, beloved community. That's how we talk about it now. King didn't say the words beloved community in the I Have a Dream speech, though he had been talking about the idea for about 6 years at that point. Instead, he talked about what he would see in the beloved community. That was the dream, equality, and brotherhood between black and white, creating true freedom and justice for all people. Beloved community isn't King's phrase originally. It comes from 19th century philosopher Josiah Royce, and the concept was part of the discourse of nonviolence before King's ministry began. But King made the idea well known, even if we still struggle with defining a concept that we have not seen fully actualized. Let's see, I have a slide for this. This is the Coretta Scott King slide. Yeah, there we go. Coretta Scott King was Martin Luther King Jr.'s wife, a matriarch of a family of activists and a powerful activist in her own right. This is how she defines beloved community in her memoir. To me, the beloved community is a realistic vision of an achievable society, one in which problems and conflicts exist but are resolved peacefully and without bitterness. In the beloved community, caring and compassion drive political policies that support the worldwide elimination of poverty and hunger and all forms of bigotry and violence. The beloved community is a state of heart and mind, a spirit of hope and goodwill that transcends all boundaries and barriers and embraces all of creation. At its core, the beloved community is an engine of reconciliation. This way of living seems a long way from the kind of world we have now. Still, I believe we can accomplish this goal through courage, determination, education, and training if enough people are willing to make the necessary commitment. That's the world I want to live in. That's the dream, right there. Not a utopia free from conflict, but a society driven by compassion to support all people free from bigotry and violence. Don't lose sight of the dream. It feels so far off sometimes, but I'm not dreaming of the world being just a little bit better. Sometimes we get incremental progress. Sometimes the forces of greed and apathy and objectification continue their assault on humanity, and it feels like we're losing ground. We're not struggling to win just that little bit of ground back. We've got our minds set on something better, nothing less than collective liberation and the flourishing of all people. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. That's how King said it. I have talked to some despairing people in the last week. Some of you are climbing that mountain of despair right now. King knew the despair of racial inequality. King knew the despair of racial inequality that seemed insurmountable, but this dream, this faith that our nation would be transformed, that all people would be free and equal, was the goal. The presidential inauguration tomorrow seems to represent the opposite. The forces of greed and objectification continue to use our nation's antipathy for Black people and other people of color, for women, for trans and queer people, for disabled people, for immigrants, for poor people. Use this collective disgust for the other, though it seems that most of us are other. Use this collective disgust to buy an election, to continue hoarding billions upon billions of dollars, to play chess with all of us as the pieces. Let us name the mountain of despair. Let us call it out and name the struggle. Let us call it greed. Let us call it objectification. Let us call it an immoral force that would divide us from our neighbors and fellow citizens so that it can control us more easily. It's the same mountain of despair, 60-some years later. It is for us to chip away at it however we can to hew that stone of hope. Every bit you can chip away from despair, each bit of action that transforms the world toward justice and freedom and love, that is a stone of hope. The stone of hope. You have a stone of hope to offer. It doesn't need to be perfect or polished. Remember how King left his prepared remarks behind to tell everyone about the dream. Your stone of hope, your dream, your vision of a better future, someone needs to hear it. Somebody you know needs to believe in something better than what we can see around us. Hope is not a warm, fuzzy feeling that we're going to be okay. Hope is the conviction that we won't stop working and believing toward that dream. Hope is when we ally ourselves with the beloved community. And that means that every time you pick up trash so that it doesn't go into the river, every time you share your wealth, every time you help a stranger, every time you get to know your neighbors, every time you speak out for justice, every time you spread trans and queer joy, every time you comfort a child who has fallen down, every time you hold the hand of a dying friend, every time you do these things, and so many more, these are all acts of hope. In the face of greed and objectification, every act of love is an act of hope. In this despairing world, we need your hope. Go tell them about the dream. We need to hold these dreams together. We need to transmit our hope to one another so that no one holds it alone. Over 100 years ago, a mixed-race mine workers union sang a gospel song, "We Will Overcome," at its meetings. Along the way, parts of the tune were swapped out with a spiritual you may know called "No More Auction Block for Me." In the 1940s, striking tobacco industry workers, who were mostly black women, began singing "We Will Overcome" at their labor meetings. The organizers at Highlander School, which has trained generations of civil rights activists, learned the song from them. Pete Seeger changed it from "we will" to "we shall overcome." Dr. King heard Seeger singing the song in 1957, and the song as we know it is deeply associated with the Highlander Center, which still trains civil rights activists, and with the labor and civil rights movements, holding and passing the hope through the generations. "We Shall Overcome" is officially our anthem today, but you may notice that we are the choir. It is also, what page number, Brenda? It is the 169, I believe, in the hymnal, and we also have the words on the screen. And I think some of us need to feel these words wash over us today, and some of us need to feel them coming out of our own chests. So sing or listen as you need this day, but I invite you, as you do so, to find that stone from earlier in the service and connect this stone to the threads of hope flowing between all of us. meditation this morning comes from the collection Thou, Dear God by Dr. King. The words feel especially relevant to tomorrow. A time like this demands great leaders. Leaders whom the lust of office does not kill. Leaders whom the spoils of life cannot buy. Leaders who possess opinions and a will. Leaders who have honor. Leaders who will not lie. Leaders who can stand before a demagogue and damn treacherous flatteries without winking. Tall leaders, sun-crowned, who live above the fog in public duty and private thinking. God grant that ministers, lay leaders, and civic leaders and professional people all over the nation will rise up and use the talents and finances that God has given them and lead the people on toward the promised land of freedom with rational, calm, nonviolent means. Amen. I invite you to be the choir again, and also remain seated if you're being out there, the choir, for our meditation hymn, which is number 199 in the gray hymnal and on the screen, Precious Lord, Take My Hand. I invite you to join me in the words to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. We are about to sing our closing song. You are welcome to stay right where you are, to know that you are held in the love of our congregation. or you are welcome to rise and move into a circle along the outer aisles and place your hands over your heart, or reach out to someone next to you and sing our closing song. Your stone of hope is exactly what someone else needs. Please share it. Go in peace.